What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub, and happy Thanksgiving. And that's probably dumb. This isn't even going to be uploaded probably for like a week. So, happy late Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm actually in Orlando, Florida right now. I'm having Thanksgiving with my family. I'm using my mom's Jeep Compass. Seems like it'd be a decently legit Uber or Lyft car. It's very spacious. I would show you around more, but she does not clean her car like I do, so it is very dirty. What I'm gonna do for you guys today is go over, I have like 4 really legit ways I utilize destination trips, and a lot of times when I'm utilizing these, I'm literally making $40 per hour. So I wanted to share these with you, and by the way, that's like minimum. Sometimes I'm upwards of $60 an hour when I'm really utilizing destination trips the right way. So I'm gonna go over the 4 main ways I use it, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. But before we get going, I wanted to tell you guys about Firefly ads. I don't know how many of you guys have heard of this. It's not in my market yet, but I'm really stoked to try it. But basically, it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys remember back like 5-10 years ago when you would see cars driving around with the Monster decals. Well, Monster was like literally paying people to have their logo on their car. And it's a similar concept, but I think it's actually smaller. It's not gonna be like really massive earnings, but you know, for free, it's like, you know, if you're gonna make a few extra bucks a month, you know, even if it's just like $100 extra a month, and then you combine it with like some of the other ones I've promoted at the beginning of videos that are all free, you know, you could be making an extra $500 a month if you utilize everything. So I always say, like, you know, it's one thing if you've got to pay $200 to get started with it, but it's literally free. Like, they hook you up. So check it out, guys. I'll leave a link in the description. But let's jump right into it. So the number one way I use it is during weekday driving. If I can only, let's say like my schedule only allows me to drive during pretty rough times. So we'll say like 10 a.m. to like 2 p.m. So not work rush, and you know, really not gonna be any surging or anything. What I like to do is, so I live like 35 minutes from our airport. So from my apartment, I set a destination trip for the airport, and it usually takes me under 10 minutes to get a ride, and almost always it's going all the way to the airport. Sometimes it's a short ride, but then you'll usually get then the airport ride after that. And so what's really cool is if you have Uber Gold rewards, what you can do is you get quicker pickups at the airport if you drop off. And so why I like it is a lot of times I'm starting my day with 2 really good airport rides, and it'll be like a lot of times like $35 in that first hour. And like I said, sometimes upwards of like $50 if I get lucky and it's like a really long ride on the second ride. And why I like doing that is because if you've been driving a while, you guys probably know this, but one of the toughest things about Uber and Lyft driving is just keeping your morale high. And like for me, if I start and I'm having a slow day, like I get dejected so quick, and a lot of times I'll be like, oh my gosh, screw this, it's so slow, I'm going home. But if I start out with like $50 in my first hour, $40 in my first hour, and I already feel like I'm super close to $100, because for me on a weekday like that, especially bad hours, I'm happy if I make $100, you know. And so if I can go out and if I can do $100 in like 4 or 5 hours, and on technically a bad day, I'm really happy. And a lot of times I'm able to do that when I do that. So the second way, and I can kind of combine this one with that last tip, is utilizing it for consecutive trip bonuses. So consecutive trip bonuses are tricky because a lot of times I've noticed I get those first 2 rides really quick, and then that third one is just a problem. Like I will not be able to get that third ride. And a lot of times it'll take me like 45 minutes to get that third ride in the consecutive trip bonus on Uber. And so then I'm like really thinking about it, and a lot of times I made less money than if I'd probably just not stuck in the zone trying to get that third ride. So what I like to do is I get the first consecutive trip ride, and then what I do is I set a destination trip for the airport wherever I'm at. Now the beauty about the consecutive trips is you only have to get the first ride in the zone. So what I usually hope to do is I always stay on the fringe of the zone, and I'm hoping that I get my first consecutive ride going out of the zone, because I know it's more than likely away from more drivers. Then I set a destination trip for the airport. Obviously, if it's time where an airport ride is like relatively likely. And even if you have to wait like 10, 15 minutes, it's going to be worth it, right? And here's why. So you get that, so you've already given your first ride. Your second ride goes to the airport. And again, if you have Uber Gold rewards, you're going to get that third ride really fast from the airport. Now, this is an awesome, awesome trick, especially if it's like a $14.50 consecutive trip bonus, or even really like anything 8 or higher is going to be pretty worth it. Because what happens is, so your first ride, obviously, we'll just say it's only $10, because that's probably about my average ride, $10. So we'll just say it's $10. And now if it's a fringe area, for me, that airport ride is probably going to be at least $15 to the airport from where I'm at, because there's not a lot of places outside, like that far outside of the zone, that are close to the airport. So if that first ride took me outside of the zone, the airport ride's probably going to make me $15, 25. And we'll just say I don't even get a long airport ride, and it's only a $10 airport ride leaving the airport. So now I'm at $35, but if it's a $14.50 bonus, that's $50. You see what I'm saying? And hypothetically, if those 2 airport rides had been more like $15, now I made $60 in probably anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the time of day, because 3 rides, you can do 3 rides in an hour, but on average, you're going to do 2 rides per hour. So that's one of my favorite ways, especially if it's a consecutive trip bonus on Uber during the weekdays, because I can make close to 60, sometimes even more, just in like an hour and a half. And it's a super strong start to the day. And my morale is just like out of this world. So the next way I use it is during really big surges. Well, no prime times anymore. I want to clarify one thing real quick too. This might not be the case in your market, but in my market, the Lyft consecutive trip, or the Lyft destination trips, are garbage. Like, I'll wait like 45 minutes for a ride. So I would steer clear of those. And I really wish, oh my gosh, if Uber had 6 a day like Lyft, that would be such a massive game changer, because I'm telling you guys, you can make these destination trips work. Like they're like clutch. But the second way is, let's say it's a Friday or Saturday night, I'm doing late night driving. I will go to an area that I like know indefinitely is going to surge. So I'm in Phoenix, so like Old Town Scottsdale, it has like nuts surging at like 1:50 a.m. to like 2:10 a.m. So what I do is I turn my app off and I drive towards like 5 minutes away from like the major surge areas. I'll probably do that at 1:45 to 1:50 a.m. so that at 1:55 a.m. I'm waiting like a mile outside an area that I can already see is heating up. And then what I do is, if I can get to the center while it's still getting really hot, and it just depends where your other rides took you throughout the day, but if I can get to the center, I will, I'll just wait. And then once it's at what I think is going to be its highest amount, like I usually try to go for like anywhere from like a 12 to 14. I don't see 14s a lot, but I do see 12s pretty often. I don't turn the app on, but I start setting a destination, and I set it for like a super outskirt area where a lot of people won't be going. But it might have just so happened, like maybe there's like some little farm town like 45 minutes like west, and maybe there's nothing else really west of the area you're in. Like maybe most people are going to be going to apartments and homes that are like northeast south, but west is like all highway and farmland. And so what you do though is you're going to get that one person who wanted to leave their farm town to have a nice night out in the town, right? And so what happens is you get that $12 surge on like a 40-mile ride, and you'll make like $100 on that ride, if not more. So that's one of my favorite things to do, because like that is like a serious cash cow. I a lot of times will just go out and work from like midnight to 2 a.m. because I'm kind of a night owl. So for me, like a lot of times I don't really work weekends anymore personally, but if I'm not like, you know, having a drink at home and I'm still sober and I'm still awake at midnight, I'll usually do that. I'll go out and just work for 2 hours. And it's crazy because sometimes I'm coming home with like a minimum of like $80 in 2 hours, and a lot of times upwards of like 140. So, I mean, I'm going out and making 70 an hour for 2 hours. Now, a lot of times it doesn't happen, and you got to be careful because you don't want to go on like too crazy of a cancel frenzy until you get a good ride. One other thing, so to do that, you are going to also need Uber Gold rewards so that it will tell you where the ride is heading. Now, hypothetically, if it's a destination, you're thinking, you wouldn't really need to do that. You do kind of, I mean, if you don't have gold rewards, you know, that's fine. Still try it out and you'll probably get lucky. But you could get somebody who parked their car 5 minutes away in that direction and they're going to drive home, you know? And so you don't want to waste your really good surge on a rinky-dink ride like that because there's not a lot of surges that last too long. So like, I've never been the type of driver that's like, oh, well, I want to give like 4 short rides during the surge. The odds of that are like not that good. And more than likely what's going to happen is you're going to get like a 15-minute ride, which isn't the worst, but like you're talking $7 on top of your surge of $12. So, you know, $20. I mean, I give non-surge rides that are $20 all the time. I want to get that $80 ride, right? So, and with those, if you're going 15 minutes away from the surge, you're not going to be back in time. You're going to miss the entire thing. You might catch like a $4 or $5, which, you know, it's not bad if then that ends up being a good ride too. But like I said, I'm going for the grand slam. Like I want to get that massive, crazy ride. And you can kind of eliminate a lot of the competition by doing that. So that's my third way. And then my final way is utilizing it during concert venues or utilizing it during concerts or like NFL games, NBA games. There's so many NBA games during the year that I don't see too many that create like too much surge, but especially during NFL games, this can be a monster, and definitely during concerts. So those of you that have been driving for a while, you know, picking up at concerts and NFL games are like the worst. The surging is incredible. It's like the best you ever see a lot of times. Dave Matthews Band was in town like 5 months ago, and I think I made $600 in one night just because of that concert. So, I mean, obviously they're worth it. Knowing how to do it, though, is so key. If you're trying to pick up in the main areas, I mean, you're going to wait 45 minutes to get out. And if you get a decent enough surge, that's not bad because you'll get a little bit more of a time multiplier. But here's what you want to do. This is where you really make some freaking cheddar, okay? So what I do is I find the nearest highway, freeway, or anything that's going to stretch as close to the Coliseum or the arena or wherever conference center it is, but not have to go through it. And so what I do is I get like 10 minutes outside of it, probably a little bit closer than that. I try to leave the app off, and then I get on that major highway. And once I'm like, probably like 5 minutes outside of it, you got to play this careful because if you miss it, then you're wasting a destination trip for nothing. So you don't want to like risk it too much because you guys know how these surges go on Uber. I mean, they can fizzle really quick. So I'll get really close to it, and then right before I'm getting into a really hot zone, I do the same thing with the bar surge. I don't turn the app on. I just go straight to the destination. I set it just going like basically straight through it because I know I'm not going to get a ride going to the place because the event just let out. No one's going to be going. But once I get like 2 mile, I'm trying to think of what the actual it's probably about a mile. Once I'm like 1 mile past the arena or whatever it is, I then get that destination going. I think I said like 5 minutes out, but I realized I was wrong. I do it whenever I get past it. And then again, I have Uber Gold rewards, so I'm waiting to see where the pickup would be at. So the second I get a ride request and it's not a location that's like anywhere near the concert venue, let's say maybe it's a restaurant that was like 2 streets down, I take it. because then I'm gonna get a really fast, easy pickup on like a $12 surge. The concerts and stuff sometimes go higher. I think the Dave Matthews Band, I was getting $20 surges. It was I think the most I've ever made in one night on Uber was that night. It was, yeah, the Dave Matthews Band, he tore it up. But yeah, so I'll get like a massive surge ride from that, and I didn't have to like take any time penalty. Kind of sucks for the guy who's at the restaurant. Just having a nice dinner with his family, and then he pays me like $130. That makes me actually feel really guilty now that I think about it. But yeah, that was the fourth and final way. Sorry guys, I make myself laugh. But yeah, so that's what I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like this video and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you guys soon.